My girlfriend left me for some bald trust fund kid. She laughed and said I was all looks, no substance. How am I not substantive? A face like mine is a rare commodity. Anyone can make money. She scoffed. Keep dreaming. You'll never make the kind of money Rick Gannon has. I just smiled at her naivety. She had no idea. 2 weeks later, I was the top VIP host at Elysian, the most exclusive club in the city. When she showed up as a client, she practically drooled at the sight of me. My girlfriend was with a bald trust fund kid. The guy looked old enough to be my father. I watched them from across the department store, picking out rings, and my stomach turned. She was poured into a tight red dress, and the man's hand was kneading her ass right there in public. Their brazenness made people stare, but Samantha just smiled, completely absorbed, telling the sales clerk to bring out a bigger, brighter diamond. She didn't seem to notice or care about the hand on her. "Oh, Rick," she cooed, "you're so generous." This was the same woman who, just this morning, was asking me what I wanted for dinner. Now, she was wearing clothes I'd never seen, shopping with an old man. My fists clenched, but I swallowed my anger for her sake, trying not to make a scene. They left with more than a dozen shopping bags. I followed them all the way to the parking garage before I finally gritted my teeth and stepped forward. "Sam, is this your uncle? Nice to meet you, sir." Her face went white, as if she'd seen a ghost. She trembled, speechless, her hand gripping the man's arm, trying to pull him away. But he wasn't going anywhere. He turned to me and rolled up his sleeves. "I'm 28, you little punk. Who the hell are you?" "Sam, you know this guy." We both looked at her, waiting for an answer. Her expression shifted in an instant. She turned on the charm, leaning against the man coquettishly. "Rick, honey, this is just my neighbor. He was just looking at cars in the showroom here." A sneer spread across Rick's face. He pulled a thick wallet from his pocket, peeled off $200 bills, and threw them at me. Perfect timing. Give my car a nice polish. I stared at the cash in my hand, then at Samantha, who was frantically signaling me with her eyes. I knelt and started wiping down his car. My hand was shaking too much to do a good job. The movements were clumsy and random. The gleaming Mercedes-Benz emblem burned my eyes. I sat at home, my mind racing. It was after 10 when Samantha finally tiptoed in. She jumped when she saw me on the sofa. Without a word, she dropped her mountain of shopping bags and went to take a shower, acting as if I didn't exist. By the time she emerged in a silk nightgown and slid into bed, it was nearly midnight. She tapped out a quick text to Rick, a flirty goodnight message. Seeing she had no intention of explaining, I couldn't stop myself. I nudged her. She shot up, her voice a sharp reprimand. "Couldn't you just pretend you didn't see me? I had to spend forever explaining things to Rick because of you." I was speechless. It took me a long moment to find my voice. "So, let me get this straight. Some guy is sleeping with my girlfriend, I get humiliated into washing his car, and now it's my fault." Samantha sighed, annoyed but seeing the hurt on my face. She reined in her anger. She got out of bed, rummaged through her shopping bags, and pulled out a small, expensive-looking gift bag from a high-end wellness store. She tossed it to me. "This is for you. See? It's not like we didn't get anything out of it. Besides, I'm just playing with him. We didn't sleep together. I get all this stuff. What are you so worked up about?" I imagined that even the most pathetic man on earth couldn't stomach his girlfriend fawning over another guy and then trying to buy him off with a consolation prize. I held up the bag. "Wasn't satisfied this afternoon. So you came home for the real thing tonight?" Her anger flared again. "Why do you have to make such a big deal out of everything? Think about it. How long would it take you to earn enough to buy all this? We could finally have a good life. What's wrong with that?" Sam and I met in college. I was the campus king, and she was the girl. After graduation, we settled into a normal 9-to-5 life. We weren't struggling, but the city's glamour had clearly gotten to her. She was obsessed with the idea of designer bags and dinners of foie gras. After seeing one of her friends successfully land a rich boyfriend, she mentioned more than once that she wanted to do the same. Today, I realized she'd moved from planning to execution. All that was left was telling me. After a moment, she touched my face, taking a few deep breaths to calm herself. She could never stay mad at me for long when she looked at my face. "Cole," she said, her voice full of feigned grievance. "Trust me, I'm just building a future for us." She was obsessed with looks. The thought of her calling that bald guy honey must have been torture. My silence was taken as acceptance. For the next few days, she came home with a new stream of designer bags and cosmetics, proudly telling me the price of each item. Her style changed, becoming more provocative, skin-tight dresses, backless tops. It was hard to look at her. I started to question myself. Was I not good enough for her? I always tried to spoil her, but on my salary, she could only afford drugstore skincare. She would carefully scoop out a dab of the new, expensive face cream she'd gotten and tell me, "This is what real skincare is. The stuff you buy is industrial garbage. Money is quite the moisturizer. I said sarcastically. She missed the barb entirely, admiring herself in the mirror. I should be grateful I'm pretty enough. I can get all this just by being some rich guy's arm candy, without having to suffer through life. I looked at her reflection and felt like I didn't know her anymore. You're so obsessed with appearances. Doesn't looking at him make you sick? She just laughed. Sick? That's for little girls. A mature woman knows that money is the most beautiful thing in the world. The girl who had promised to build a life with me was now only interested in shortcuts. Sensing the tension, she pulled a wad of cash from her purse and waved it in the air. Come on, you saw that sport car you liked, right? Let's go buy it. At the dealership, the salesman barely gave us the time of day. Sam, annoyed by his attitude, flashed the cash. His demeanor changed instantly. Of course, even a car salesman bows to money. A handsome face just gets you a second glance. Just as Sam was swiping her card, the bald guy walked in. He strode over and wrapped his arm possessively around her. I saw your credit card alert nearby, so I came to check. Why is the car washer still here? Sam didn't miss a beat. She pointed at me and laughed. He did such a good job last time. I called him to detail my new car. What do you think? Nice, right? Rick tapped her nose playfully. Not bad, you got good taste. Well, don't waste any time. Get cleaned up. Just like last time, he threw a couple $100s at me. This time, it landed on the floor. The salesman, understanding the situation perfectly, handed me a rag and whispered, what a waste of a good-looking face being a car washer. My girlfriend walked out of the dealership on Rick's arm, her hips swaying as they got into his car. I heard them cheerfully discussing which restaurant had the best foie gras as I clenched the money in my fist. Sam came home late that night, looking exhausted. I saw the faint marks on her neck, and my heart went cold. It wasn't just fawning. Every dollar has its price. She had finally given in to temptation. Did you ever care about my pride? I had to know what our years together meant to her. Her face soured, and her words were like knives. You're still not satisfied? That was a few $100s. How long would it take you to earn that? So smiling for him wasn't enough anymore. She flinched, instinctively pulling at her collar. Her eyes darted around nervously. I'm done with this life. I can make my own money eventually. Are you choosing me, or are you choosing a Rick? Sam, who had been on edge, burst out laughing. You? Make money? With what? Your face? It was finally clear. She'd looked down on me for a long time. I didn't argue anymore. I went to the closet and pulled out the suitcase I had already packed with her things. She shook her head, refusing to take it. You don't understand, Cole. Once you step into this world, you can never go back. Their bathrooms are bigger than our entire apartment. Her silhouette was graceful as she walked away. The innocent girl who used to follow me around with a starstruck look on her face was gone, replaced by someone who could swallow anything. The day after she moved out, I found an old business card. I called the number. A woman had given it to me in college, telling me I had the look of someone who could make serious money. I'd scoffed at the name on the card, Elysian, assuming it was a place for male escorts. But I knew students who would have killed for an opportunity there. My old roommate had once said, that's where the elite go to play. If you want to get anything done in this city, you go through someone at Elysian. If they didn't look down on guys like me, I'd be there in a heartbeat. You heard about that senior who got in? Now, wherever he goes, people roll out the red carpet for him. When I called, the woman on the other end didn't hesitate. She told me to come right over. The woman was impeccably dressed, dripping with wealth. The first thing she did was take me to a tailor for a bespoke suit. You hired me just from a phone call? No interview. She gave me a rich, full-bodied laugh. Not necessary. I've only ever given that card to one person. Someone important had their eye on you. We've been waiting for your call for years. I glanced at the bill for the suit. The 5-figure price tag stunned me. But it was worth every penny. The cut was perfect. The fabric felt incredible. My roommate was right. The people here were on another level. Seeing me in the perfectly tailored suit, the woman smiled and patted my shoulder. I took a half step back. I'm just here to work, I clarified. Nothing else. She laughed so hard she had to bend over. What are you thinking? She said, catching her breath. Nobody here can force you to do anything. The more reserved you are, the more those rich women love it. You'll be our intellectual. We're desperate for someone with a brain. That put me at ease. All my reservations vanished. It was just about making money, and my face was my weapon. This woman, Isabel, was clearly high up at Elysian. Her instincts were razor sharp. I just maintained a cool, aloof attitude, acting as if I was above it all. Just as she predicted, it drove a horde of wealthy women wild, all of them clamoring for me to join them for a chat. I finally understood what Samantha had said. You can't be too conventional. It's foolish not to play the cards you're dealt. Excessive modesty is just false piety. Within 2 weeks, I was Elysian's top VIP host. When these powerful people needed a favor or a connection, They had to go through me to set up a meeting. I never said much, but at the right moments, they would even ask for my opinion. After word got out that a female CEO had brought her son in and paid me to do his homework, my tutoring schedule was booked for the next month. Isabel couldn't stop smiling whenever she saw me. She raised my salary again and again, eventually telling me I could come and go as I pleased. It was a strange dichotomy. During the day, I'd see these CEOs treating their employees like dirt, and at night, I'd see them at Elysian, groveling before the truly wealthy. The disconnect was jarring. I never expected Samantha to show up with Rick Gannon. They were with a group of trust fund kids in a glass-walled VIP suite on the second floor. I watched them from the third. I saw Sam making the rounds, toasting everyone with a forced smile. She was a lightweight, and sure enough, after a few drinks, she was swaying on her feet. Instead of telling her to rest, Rick egged her on, pushing her to dance for his friends. There were men and women in the group, and a few of the girls pointed and laughed as Sam danced, her face beet red. The humiliation was palpable even from where I was sitting. This world wasn't as glamorous as she thought. After a while, a server for downstairs came to get me. As I approached the suite, I could hear Rick inside, giving instructions. Listen up, this guy's the hottest thing in this club, so watch what you say. Sam, get a drink ready. My whole deal depends on this guy. Hearing his description, I cleared my throat awkwardly before walking in. As I opened the door, Samantha was the picture of meek obedience. The moment she looked up and saw me, her jaw dropped, and a dazed, starstruck expression took over. She quickly wiped a bit of drool from her lip. I smirked. Well, Ms. Samantha, life doesn't look quite as comfortable as you imagined, does it? Rick Gannon jumped to his feet to greet me. It's an honor. Please have a seat. I ignored his outstretched hand and looked at Sam, who was rubbing her eyes in disbelief. We've met, haven't we? Or do you not recognize me? Only then did Rick realize I was the guy who had washed his car. Twice. Samantha's jaw hit the floor. She wiped her mouth again. Cole. Even though I despised her for choosing money over me, seeing her being treated like a circus monkey by these spoiled brats stirred a pang of sympathy. Several of the rich girls in the group flocked over to me, their expressions fawning. Well, it's been a while since I've been to Elysian. When did you get such a gorgeous man in here? I loosened the collar of my black silk shirt and rolled up the sleeves. I sat down casually on the sofa, and my simple movements sent the girls into a fit of excited squeals. Isabel was right. I knew exactly how to get their attention. As expected, Rick's face darkened. The car washer he looked down on had stolen the spotlight the second he walked in. So it's you, he sneered. And here I was wondering who the big shot was. I knew he was aware of my history with Sam. She was the only one who thought she was being clever. The two car washing incidents were just his way of putting me in my place. Used to his position of power, he sat down across from me, legs spread wide. All right, buddy. My name is Rick Gannon, and I don't beat around the bush. Here's $2,000. I need you to do something for me. I took the stack of cash from his hand and, right in front of him, started dropping the bills on the floor one by one. I'm sorry, what was that? I couldn't hear you. Rick slammed his hand on the table, enraged. Sam turned pale and frantically shook her head at me. You little gigolo, how dare you talk to me like that? I let out a soft chuckle, which made the girls watching swoon. You think everyone is like you? Rick called for Isabel. I just sat there unfazed. When Isabel entered, Rick's tone became much more respectful. In this city, Isabel was a force of nature. She hadn't just built Elysian into a powerhouse. She commanded the respect of the city's most influential figures. Isabel, look at your staff. This is no way to treat a guest. It's completely out of line. He expected me to pay for my insolence, but Isabel just walked over and patted my shoulder. What's wrong, Cole? Did someone upset you? I gestured to the money on the floor. This, Uncle here, came to ask for a favor. I wasn't interested. Hearing me call him Uncle again, Rick's face turned purple with rage. Isabel, I'm a customer. For your employee to be this disrespectful is unacceptable. Isabel didn't even look at him. She was focused on me. If you don't want to deal with him, then don't. No need to get upset. Rick misinterpreted her calm tone as a concession. He pointed at me, demanding an apology. That's when I truly understood the benefit of status. In my old life, I would have had to swallow my pride. But now, Isabel was protecting me, showing Rick zero deference. Kid, she said to Rick, her voice sweet but firm. If you're going to ask for a favor, you should show some sincerity. These few pieces of paper you threw down wouldn't even cover the cost of a pair of Cole socks. What kind of favor are you trying to buy with that? Rick, furious, pointed a finger at her. You've got to be kidding me. This guy's just a car washer. I'm doing him a favor by even asking. Isabel, realizing Rick was too green to understand the rules here, simply waved her hand. Security appeared and began escorting the entire group out. They kicked and screamed at the door, threatening to tear the place down, but Isabel acted like nothing had happened. "Go on, Cole," she said gently. "You've had a rough night. Take the rest of the evening off." Once they were gone, I felt a little guilty for causing trouble with a client. I dropped the tough guy act. "Aren't you angry that I offended a customer?" Isabel sipped her red wine, a cheerful smile on her face. "Don't worry. If I could be scared off by a few spoiled kids, I wouldn't have lasted this long. You're my golden goose. Just focus on enjoying your life." I finally relaxed. When I left the club, Rick and his crew were gone, but Sam was waiting for me outside. She looked me up and down, her eyes welling with tears. "What are you doing here? I thought you were too proud to use your looks." I had already changed out of my suit and into casual clothes. Her expression slowly shifted from hurt to pure infatuation. No matter how many times she saw this face, she'd fall for it. Back in college, her pursuit of me was legendary. She'd chase off any other girl who so much as asked about me, fiercely protective. Now, seeing me polished and moving in these elite circles, the aura I projected was something she couldn't look away from. "It's nothing," I said. "Just wanted to prove whether or not I could make the kind of money your Rick has." She looked embarrassed, tugging at my sleeve. "Cole, can we get back together?" I looked at her shy expression and decided to test her. "What? You're breaking up with your old man?" She looked away, unable to meet my eyes, and mumbled, "Do I have to break up with him to be with you? With me, your life could be so much easier. We could both let Rick take care of us." I yanked my arm back, shaking it as if to get something disgusting off me. "Sam, you're getting more delusional by the day. How could you even think of something like that?" "It's normal in their circle," she insisted. I didn't answer. I just walked away. There was no hope for her anymore. After that night, Sam started coming to the club regularly. She dressed the part, trying to fit in with the elite crowd. She'd bring a few friends, order some drinks, and lounge on a sofa like a queen, beckoning the other handsome hosts over. She'd shoot daggers at me, hoping I'd come to her, but I made a point of visiting every table but hers. She watched as real socialites spent fortunes on vintage champagne just to have me chat with them. So she copied them, ordering a $10,000 bottle, wincing as she did it. The way she stared at me made my colleagues snicker. Right then, I was deep in conversation with a wealthy woman about which major her future son should choose for college when Isabel personally came and pulled me away. The woman didn't seem annoyed. She just told me to give her more advice next time. In front of a private suite, Isabel carefully straightened my collar and fastened a button before pushing me inside. I expected to see some major tycoon, but inside the vast room, there was only a young girl, chewing on a pen and staring blankly at a notebook. She didn't look up when I came in. I understood immediately. This must be another rich kid who needed help with homework. I leaned in to look at her work and was taken aback. The problems were advanced. I gently took the pen from her mouth and wrote down the solution in a few quick steps. She finally turned her gaze to me and nodded in satisfaction. "Not bad. I have good taste. You're not arrogant, not chauvinistic, and you know how to use your strengths." I was baffled by her high praise, but didn't ask questions. I just sat on the side, chin in my hand, and waited for her to speak. She didn't say another word all night. When the club was closing, she just packed her school bag and left. As I walked out of the suite after she was gone, Sam lunged at me. "Cole, are you serious?" she demanded. "I bought a $10,000 bottle of wine and waited for you all night, and you didn't even glance at me. You were in here doing homework with some little girl." All the suites at the club had glass walls for security visible from the main floor. She had been fuming, sending people to get me multiple times, only to be blocked by Isabel. She was just as confused about the girl's identity as I was. I pushed her hand off my collar. "We broke up, Sam. You don't need to spend money on me anymore." She couldn't accept my coldness. "Cole, we were in love for years. You can't be this heartless." Her eyes were hazy from the alcohol. I couldn't be bothered to argue. I called her an Uber and put her in it. After that, the girl would often summon me to her suite, and I'd stay there for the entire night. She'd speak occasionally, asking my opinion on something or for help with a problem. I could tell from her perfect posture and silky hair that she was the real deal, a flower grown in a greenhouse of wealth. Samantha would periodically knock on the door to interrupt. Once, when she ran into the girl in the lounge, she sneered at her. "Where did this little brat come from, thinking she can chase after men before she's even grown up? That handsome guy belongs to me, kid. Stay away." Isabel was about to intervene, but the girl remained completely unruffled, exuding an air of quiet nobility. "Cole," she said, turning to me, "this lady says you belong to her. She wants to know, are you with her or with me?" Samantha looked at me smugly, as if my choice was obvious. Without a word, I walked over to the young girl. Samantha rushed forward and grabbed me. "I'll pay you. You have to stay with me." Isabel immediately stepped in to restrain her. I didn't mince words. I find your money dirty. Samantha finally understood. It was over between us for good. She collapsed onto a sofa, looking lost. Can't you just look back at me one more time? I picked up the girl's backpack and walked out without a backward glance. There was no going back. From the day I started this job, I never had any intention of winning her back. Everything I did was for myself, to regain my own damn pride. Rick Gannon arrived while Samantha was still slumped on the sofa, grieving. The moment she saw him, she straightened up and plastered a smile on her face. This time, Rick came with a briefcase full of cash. Gone was his previous arrogance. He begged Isabel to let him see me. After Isabel had a brief word with the young heiress in my suite, I was allowed to leave. When I entered Rick's suite, Samantha was by his side, all smiles and solicitous attention. The sight of her fawning over him made me nauseous. Rick got straight to the point. Cole, I won't waste your time. Help me get a meeting with your boss. All this money is yours if you do. He was more subdued, but the condescension was still there, buried just beneath the surface. With the experience I'd gained, I could tell his clothes weren't as expensive as before. He was on a downward slide. I sat without saying a word, forcing him to continue. As expected, he couldn't take the silence. Come on, enough is enough, he said, his voice laced with frustration. You're just an employee. I only want to talk to you because your boss is powerful. Don't push it. I remained silent, staring at him. Rick was fuming, but he was afraid of getting thrown out again. He pounded his chest in frustration. Just name your price. How much to make it happen? He gave Samantha a shove, and she stumbled forward. You're just pissed I stole your girlfriend, right? She's the one who latched onto me. You want her back? Take her. Samantha immediately scrambled back to him, hugging his leg and crying. Rick, what are you talking about? I don't even know him. Rick ran a hand over the few remaining strands of hair on his head, completely exasperated. Finally, I spoke. What makes you so sure the boss will agree to my request? Hearing my voice, Rick relaxed slightly. He perched on the edge of the table to explain. Your boss has countless people working for her across multiple industries. I looked into it. Her entertainment empire spans the entire city, but she only gives you this kind of special treatment. Can you imagine that? He leaned in. You might think I was reckless last time, but if it had been anyone but you, I never would have been kicked out. I've been in this game for years. I know how to play it. That woman, Isabel, had a million ways to smooth things over without offending anyone, but she chose to throw us out. This time, he continued, if I hadn't come with a sincere offer, she wouldn't have even let me in the door. That's new. His words sent a jolt through me, but I kept my expression neutral. Now that I had the information I wanted, I continued my act. I can't guarantee I can help you. I can ask. If she agrees, I want $75,000. Rick gritted his teeth and nodded. Samantha was utterly stunned. I had just made 75 grand in a matter of minutes. She wavered, unsure whether to keep pretending she didn't know me or to throw herself at my feet and escape her miserable life. I watched her from across the table, reading her every expression. Her indecision made her a stranger to me. The girl who had once pursued me with such single-minded devotion could now deny ever knowing me. Society was a terrifying thing. I was just bluffing Rick. I never thought it would actually work. If Isabel wasn't the boss, then the person behind it all was someone I had no access to. I tried asking Isabel first, but she just smiled and shook her head. With no other options, I let it go. A few days later, I was out shopping for new clothes when I ran into Rick. He looked even worse off than before, wearing a cheap tank top that reminded me of my own old wardrobe. He spotted me and made a beeline. Hey you, did you just take my money and run? If you can't do it, just tell me. Don't waste my time. I wasn't concerned. The sales staff, seeing his shabby attire, were already trying to usher him out. Samantha was with him, no longer in her short skirts and delicate necklaces. She stood by the door, watching me with longing eyes. After I had the clerk bag up a few items, I saw Samantha take 2 steps toward me, only for Rick to slap her back into place. Out of the blue, an old classmate organized a reunion. I suspected something was up, but after enough prodding, I agreed to go. At the dinner table, the women kept giving me suggestive looks, while the men glared at me. Look at our campus king, one of them said. Years have passed, and he hasn't changed a bit. Still handsome as ever. It was a backhanded compliment, a dig at my presumed lack of wealth. I just sipped my wine and listened to them brag. You guys don't know. Our man Mark here is a big-shot businessman. Knows the owner of this place and everything. The restaurant was a private, elegant spot favored by the city's young elite. Knowing the owner was indeed impressive. I had to admit, my classmates were doing well. The women joined in, showering Mark with praise. When Samantha arrived, she was dripping in jewels, probably wearing every last thing Rick had ever given her. She froze for a moment when she saw me, then found a quiet corner to sit in. Everyone knew we had been a couple in college. Looking at my understated attire and her ostentatious display, they all assumed we had broken up over money. After they had finished buttering up Mark, the gossip turned to us. Sam, we heard you have a rich boyfriend. Why don't you have him come join us? Several others chimed in. Yeah, Mark's doing pretty well too. Maybe they know each other, could help each other out. Samantha elegantly pinned up her hair, putting on an air of sophistication. After enough pestering, she finally called Rick. His appearance was not what my classmates had expected. They barely managed to stifle their laughter. But remembering he was rich, they all rushed to greet him warmly. Rick's clothes were even cheaper than the last time I'd seen him, but they chalked it up to the eccentricities of the wealthy. He saw me at the table, walked right over, and practically fell to his knees. Cole, please just give me an answer. You have to help me. My whole family is counting on you. I quickly pushed my chair back so he wouldn't actually bow at my feet. He had finally shed his arrogance and learned how to beg. The table fell silent. Everyone exchanged confused glances, not daring to speak. Samantha looked mortified. The rest of the meal was awkward. Rick stood by my side, waiting for me to say something. Samantha covered her mouth, embarrassed. The women started slipping me their business cards, asking to collaborate. The men, trying to salvage their pride, stayed quiet until the meal was over. Finally, the organizer of the reunion spoke up. Cole, listen, the main reason for this dinner is that I lost my job. I was hoping to find some work. We were classmates, you know. Could you maybe help a guy out? I nearly choked on my water. I had no choice but to be honest. Sorry, man. I'm a VIP host at Elysian. It's a job that kind of depends on your looks. I wasn't trying to be arrogant. It was the simple truth. A few people who recognized the name of the club immediately clammed up. But Mark, who had clearly never heard of it, roared with laughter. I thought you were some big shot. Turns out you sleep with rich old ladies for a living. A girl sitting near me leaned in and whispered, I'll definitely come by and support your business. I didn't have the heart to tell her about the minimum charge. When it was time to pay, the waiter came over. Your bill has been taken care of by our owner. Mark puffed out his chest proudly. Wow, the owner is too kind. I didn't even have to say anything. Is he here? I should go thank him. But the waiter turned directly to me. Mr. Travers, we share the same owner as Elysian. She knows you. You never have to pay when you dine here. I froze. So her empire included restaurants, too. I nodded, grabbed my jacket, and stood up. I was tired of playing this part all night. As I left the hotel, Mark rushed over, trying to buddy up to me. Just then, a Maybach pulled up to the curb. It was the car the boss had just given me, here to take me to work. As I got in, I saw Mark pounding his chest in regret. A few of the guys, their curiosity piqued, got in their own cars and followed me to the club. Some of the women even hailed a cab. When they found out the cover charge and drink prices, they had to pool their money just to share a small table. Samantha tagged along and sat with them. Inside the club, everyone treated me with the utmost respect. Staff nodded and greeted me from the moment I walked in. Once on the floor, the wealthy women's faces lit up. One after another, they ordered $10,000 bottles of champagne and called me over to help their sons with homework. When a client bought a $100,000 bottle of vintage spirits, celebratory music blasted through the club. My former classmates sat at their table in stunned silence. Feeling generous and wanting to meet the patron's KPI for me, I jumped onto the stage and raised a glass to the crowd. I perched on a high stool, stretched out one long leg, and people immediately started coming up, stuffing cash into my pockets and waistband. Bills rained down around me. I got into the spirit and sang a rendition of Happy Breakup. Tears streamed down Samantha's face. Rick followed her to the club, and when he saw her there, he moved to slap her. But Sam caught his wrist, her voice loud and proud. I'm sick of looking at your bald head, you old man. Get lost. She then rushed the stage, grabbing at my pant leg, her hands tracing the muscles of my thigh. I recoiled in shock. The club was closed for the New Year holiday, and the young heiress came to see me. I started to follow her toward the private suite, but she walked right onto the main stage. She cleared her throat softly, getting the attention of all the staff. Isabel watched her with a fond smile. Everyone, the girl said, let me introduce myself. I'm the owner of this club. My jaw almost hit the floor. From now on, she announced, I'm turning the management of this club over to Cole. He's in charge. I'll just be taking a percentage of the profits. Isabel wasn't the least bit upset. She clapped me on the shoulder. See? I told you I could hand off the reins. It's all on you now, Mr. Travers. This club grossed nearly 8 figures a year. How could she just hand it over to me? The girl hopped down from a stage.